So one is the factor here. Second number option C. Meta wrap is the surrounding the plus terms, and these are the facts. Third number, meta wraps its surrounding space time. So this is also fact, and the universe is constantly expanding. So according to when we're talking about the Big Bang theory, of course, the expanding, and one day there is certain to be a big crunch also. So as we know that, who knows that it will happen or not, especially, but it will happen. Actually, we don't know. We won't be in that especially times. Don't worry, my dear, and just do our the duty to only study. That's all, because this is only one of the education. By that, of course, only we can ameliorate all kind of the circumstances, the phenomenon, and of course, and we can. Yes, we will be able to ameliorate those who are deprived and unprivileged. Of course, we will be able to privilege those people who are unprivileged by only once and receiving the good education and acknowledgement. Because as been the what do you mean by the education? When we're talking about the education means yes, how you're handling any kind of the crisis by your own intelligence. Yes, so intellectual potential development is just I'm the sanction that, and by that you will handle to any kind of the crisis by your own intelligence and better end around you. So here 62 number has been that is going to be a D, correct answer. Now 63 number C, with reference to genetically modified. So the crops, what is going to be a genetic modified the crops, and this is has been always in the news, especially genetic modified the mustard, especially mustard, GM mustard, developed in India. They consider the following. GM mustard has gene of the soil, the bacterium that will give the plants, especially the property of the past resistant to the worldwide of the bright and the no. This is not fact. Mustard, GM mustard has the gene that is allowed to the plant to cross the pollination habitat. This is fact, my dear. Of course, the when we talk about the genetic modified the crops, of course, always has a gene that will allow, of course, that's emphasized to the plants crop pollination and the habitation. Sure, this is the 2 is the fact, but 3 number C, mustard. I'm sorry guys, here my battery is low here, so I'm sorry. I'm sorry guys, yeah, my battery is low, so let's have the ones again. I'm sorry for disturbance, my dear. Actually, my laptop battery was especially low, so that's why actually I will have I had to stop. Now let's have especially genetic modified the crops are going to be talking. What is this? This is nothing, just especially it has a special gene that will allow to, of course, the plant cross the pollination and hybridization. So this is the facts in the here. So only when the 2 is going to the correct. That's all. But third option has been given here. Mustard, especially GM mustard, has been developed by the jointly of the IARI and the Punjab. No, not at all. So will be able to the correct. 64 numbers, the which the pair termed sometimes in the contacts seen in the news. Billy I artificial intelligence experiment. Yes, blockchain, digital technology, cryptocurrency. So the cryptocurrency, of course, they're always in the news in the blockchain. So the blockchain is called to, of course, digital technology, cryptocurrency. So this is the factor here. There is no doubt. So it's going to be 2 correct. 65 number, which is the following, especially a statement to describe the carbon fertilizer. And when we talking about the carbon fertilizer, of course, increase the plant growth due to increase the concentration of the carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. So is going to be a 65 is going to be a correct. Why is that? Because here the thing that describe the carbon fertilizers. When we talking the carbon fertilizer, how could we? So carbon fertilizer will definitely increase the plant's growth due to increase the concentration of the carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. So it's going to be a very easy question. So 65 number A. Now 66 number question. See, when the alarm of your smartphone, the ring in is the morning, walk up and tap to stop it. The alarm which the cause your geyser to be the switch on. So everything is going to be by automatically through the net. So it's the internet of things, definitely, my dear. So it's going to be correct answer. Yes, with reference to the solar power the production in the India, they consider the following. The statement is the largest in the world in the manufacture of the silicon wafers used in especially the photovoltaic unit. Is it going to be the correct? No. Solar power tariff are determined by the Solar Agency Corporation of India. No, this is also not a fact. So both are is going to be wrong. They established the commodity of the export by English East India Company from the Bengal in the middle of the 18th century. Yeah. So the cotton silk, and as we know that cotton silk, especially silk, pitcher, and opium. Opium means opium, of course. Sure. Other when we talking about East India, I'm the East Indian the company from the Bengal in the middle of the as in that in century, stable the commodity of export. Sure, definitely, but most as been the cotton and the opium and the silk also was there. So it's totally, of course, in the history. Of course, especially I've done a study in the history people. So it's an easy question, to my dear. If you do a study by books, then definitely, of course, you will be covered with this is kind of the question, because that was a quite easy questions to attempt in 2018. Now, which of the following is especially see very significant aspect of the Champaran Satyagraha. In the Champaran Satyagraha, what was done? Because of course the peasant interest, so definitely joining of the peasant interest to other national movements. This is of course the feature you can also write in your history paper as a Champaran Satyagraha. So what was especially, of course, is joining the peasant. Yes, joining the peasant. Peasant means farmer, of course, interest to India national movement. Now the who following, especially who amongst the following, especially the founder of the Hindi Mazdoor Sabha established in 1948. So that was Ashok Mehta, of course, T.S. Ramanujan and G.G. Mehta. Which is the reference to the religion, the practice in the India, especially Asthanak Vasi. Yes, sect belongs to Jainism, of course. Now, with reference to the cultural history of India, they consider the following in the walls. There may be, white marble. I'm sorry, my dears. Actually, has been that I have to minimize the time. That's why actually I'm reading fast. Sure. History of India, they consider the following. The statement was marble was used in the making. Yes, Buland Darwaza and especially Kank at Fatehpur Sikri. So this is going to be wrong, especially my dear. And the red stone and the marble were they used in especially making Bara especially Bara, Imam Bara, and especially Rumi Darwaza in the Lucknow. This is not the fact, so both is going to be wrong here. Which is the following: the foreign traveler is elaboratory the discussion about a diamond and a diamond mine in especially India. Show of course Jan Besford Tabriniers, definitely. Z, yes, Baptist D, yes, Tabnier. Now, next on the question, with reference to the Indian history, who the following is a future Buddha, yet to come, the section of the world. So, yes, Maitri. Remember that future Buddha, Maitri. Because the following sometimes don't apply to the system of the subsidiary alliance introduced by Lord Willis. So to give the India safe from the Neapolitan danger, of course, it was the man objective in there. So that's why here see question has been, it's totally of course the a big explanation has been given, especially in a history. So here, if you read history, then definitely, of course, you will be able to attempt in this question easily. That especially, yes, which statement don't apply to the system of the subsidiary alliance introduced by the Lord Wilson. Here the question: which of the following statement don't apply to the system of the subsidiary alliance introduced by the. So as we know, to minimum a large subsidiary army to other expenses, it was of course introduced in the subsidiary alliance, and to ensure the fixed income for the especially company that was also in the subsidiary alliance, and to British, yes, to establish the British paramountcy over the Indian state was also of course in the subsidiary alliance, but only one to keep them from the safe from the Napoleonic tender. That was not the facts. So this is a separate explanation topic, as we know. Now here's the following, but yes, yeah, the shows that, as we know, actually the British many times actually they have done the bilateral agreement, especially sometimes with the China, sometimes with the especially Russia and some other countries also. That they will not intrude in the India. They become the Russia on that time also was the plan to intrude in the India for colonization, but especially because of British imperialism, of course, imperialism in the colonial actually they couldn't come, so because of such kind of the activity. So to keep the India safe from the Napoleonic danger, always actually intended British in India. So this is a separate topic, so this is not going to be a match according to subsidiary alliance introduced by the Lord Wilson. So this is going to be a wrong, my dear. So it's a wrong, it's a not fact, so this will be correct according to the question demanded. Here's the following: led to the introduce of the English education in India, Charter Act of the 1913. No, this is correct, of course. This is the fact, because English introduction, I'm talking about the introduction of the English education in India under the Charter Act of 1913. Yes, General Committee of Indian Public Instructions in especially 1823 and Orientalist, and of course Anglicist controversy. So this is also, all is going to be correct here. Because the following is an artificial lake. Artificial lake is, yes, Kodaikanal. Yes, Kodaikanal. That is in Tamil Nadu. Artificial lake. It was news, of course. It was in the news, especially. So this question was also taken from especially current affair here. So when we talk the artificial lake, so that is of course Kodaikanal from the Tamil Nadu. That's how. 78 numbers with reference to especially the Pradhan Mantri Kaushal Vikas Yojana. Let's have to consider the following fact here. So it's the flex in the scheme of the especially the Minister of Labor and Employment. So this is going to be a here wrong. Second one is basically it's the among other things will also impart yes training the soft skill entrepreneurship, financial and digital literacy. It's a fact, my dear. And second aim was the aim to the alliance contemptancy of unregulated workforce of the country to the national skilled qualification for both are going to be factors. So here 2-3 factors, so C will be option answer correct. In 1920 C which in the following is going to be named to the Saurajya Sabha. Saurajya Sabha Home Rule, of course, all India Home Rule. Now 18 numbers, which one of the following is going to be a event yes happened at least. So Swami Dayanand established the Aryan Samaj not before as we know ego Dinbandhu Mitra wrote in Neil Darpan, as we know that due to exploitation of, as we know, due to exploit Neil Darpan clearly in this book, of course, especially indigo uprising, of course, especially, and the exploitation on especially Indian the peasant. Actually, this story was based on that. So here the B will be the correct here, my dear. Firstly, the Bankim Chandra Chaturthi of the Anandament was written after Anam Satyananda Tagore to become the first Indian to succeed in civil service examinations. This is also facts, my dear. But before the when we talking, so here according to the question demand the question, so the Bandhu wrote in Nil Darbar. And one current affair, C. Satyananda Tagore will become the first Indian to succeed in civil service exams. This are the facts. 81. Which are the following? Here, let's have. Which is the following is the possible the consequences of the having sand mining in the river bed. So the river bed, when we talk about the pollution of the groundwater and the lowering of the water level. So 2 and the 3 is going to be decreasing salinity in the water. How could it be? Because there is the question having sand. Yes, heavy sand mining in a river bed. So heavy sand mining in the river bed. So decreasing salinity in the water not the possible, but the pollution of the groundwater is the possible, and the lowering of the water level, that is also showing the possible. So 2 and the 3 is going to be correct in here. With reference to the agriculture, yes, this will all the consider the forex in the statements, and that a high content of the organic matter and drastically reduces the water the boiling capacity. No, this is not the facts. Second on the soil. Yes, the soil doesn't play the role in the sulfur cycle. So this is also wrong. Yes, soil is the playing, of course, especially in a sulfur cycle. As in the irrigation over the period of time can contribute to salinization of the from agricultural land. So 3 is going to be fact here. Now here next in the question, see partnership for action green economy PACE. PACE is standing for the partnership for action in the green economy. Remember that. So UN mechanisms to in the country transition toward the greener, more inclusive economy emerged at. As well that, so the question the United Nations Conference on Sustainable Development in 2012 Rio de Janeiro. In Rio de Janeiro, so what was that? Especially aimed from the PACE. PACE is standing the partnership for the action green economy, and of course united mechanism to the assist the country transition toward greener and more inclusive, yes, economy emerged. Now 84 number, see the ideas there, 3D printing. 3D printing, as we know that everybody knows that nowadays is with the what is the application that. So all of the features are in the correct in there. The way it is sure because the participation in the confectionery item, definitely there is huge contribution, of course, of the 3D printing and the type of manufacturing of the biochemicals. Of course, China has, especially as we know, and some of the country has started to, as we know that actually started to establish the industry of the 3D printing and the manufacturing of the biochemical, of course, bionic cars. Automotive industry, of course, and there is also application, and data the processing technology, there is also 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, of course, and there are 3D printing in the every areas, and this can be, of course, most probably. Now consider the following the statement 85 numbers in that. Yes, barren, yes, is land, volcano is an effective volcano located in the Indian territory. So this is a fact, my dear. Of course, the barren island, as we know, volcano is active. Volcano located in Indian territory. Definitely, when the island lies about especially 140 kilometer coast of the Great Nicobar. This is not fact. And the last time the barren, as we know, the barren island, as we know, volcano erupted was in 1991. It has remained inactive since that. No, this is not also fact. So the one will be correct. That's all. Why? What is the plant the calls, especially pros? Yes, prospis. Yes, Zulifora the plant. Zulifora the offensive news. Why it is so? Because it's been that becomes the run of species. Sorry, the plant was in the news, as we know, in a southern state. So it tend to reduce the worldly biodiversity in the area in which especially it will grow. That's why. Now consider the following, especially 87 numbers. The most often the world coral reef are in the tropical water. In tropical, this is the facts of my dear, of course. So now the more than the one of the third of the world coral reef are located in the territory of the Australia, Indonesia, and the Philippines, of course, and the coral reefs host of far more number of the animal fowls than those hosted by tropical rainforest. This is also facts, my dear. So 1 to 3 will be correct. Momentum 4. Chance climbed the natural law is an initiative launched by. Yes, that was the launch by is the one between the momentum for charge the climate natural law is an initiative launched by the UNFCCC Secretary United Nations, as we know that framework climate change conservations, these all are. So UNFCCC Secretary, of course, and that is the momentum the change the climate natural now is the initiative launched by. With reference to the education institution during the rule in India, they consider the following: the Sanskrit college in the Banaras. This is not of the facts in the here. William Jones, because as been the Sanskrit college of the Banaras was not as when the founder of the William Jones Kolkata Madras were in history. Of course, a huge contribution from the world. And because Madras Kolkata, of course, the college was especially Madras and the Kolkata, especially college institutions, and this can be, of course, Madras and Kolkata institutions, of course, for both the founder is Warren Hastings, and for the William College, that is not going to be fact. Why this is because the fourth William College was not authored vacancy. Now 19 number C, consider the following. Say the region sometimes on the news in C. Just a Catalonia in this one, of course, has been that especially in the 2008, of course, and there was many times in the news that Catalonia was the planning to, of course, separate from Spain, but especially the Spain government has been that especially imposed the emergency, and this was because of that, and there was in the news always. So this is especially the question was taken from especially the current affair. Now here, one thing, see, they consider the following the statement: the Catalonia, Spain, of course, and is Minda now, that is in the Philippines, and the Crimea, how could be in the Anglia? Of course, the Crimea, as we know that occupied by the Russia from Ukraine. So it is a near border, especially as when the Crimea, it's especially now it's in the Russia. So this is not the facts in the here, how it could be in Hungary. So it will eliminate of the two. So 1 and D gone. So definitely it will be a 3 correct answer. 1 and 3 is going to be the correct. So yeah, D will be answer. Next one, they consider the following in the band. And the first is democratically elected Communist Party government to the form in a state in India. Question number. See here we have to arrange according to the chronological sequence and the event. So the first Democratic Party, Communist Party, was the government formed in the state of India. Second, in the India, then largest the bank imperial, the Bank of India, was remained the State Bank of India. And the third, Air India was industrialized. Air India, civil aviation. In civil aviation, as we know, Air India was nationalized and they become the national carrier. And fourth, Goa, they become the part of the independent of India. So the Goa should be at last, definitely, because the Goa has become has been the part of independent India lastly. So if the fourth is going to be last, so as we know, D, especially 1 and C will be eliminated. Now fourth is so now see here 3 number objective question. Civil, this is the question from the civil aviation. So civil aviation, Air India was nationalized and they became the part of. So the banking was as been that the one between the banking, the first democratic elected the Communist Party. So that was as been that before is the nationalizing of the Air India. So according to that, especially if we go, then definitely I am still will be a correct answer here. Right to the privacy in the protected in terms of right to life, especially that is come in the 21st article, as we know that. So 21st article, that is going to be in the freedom, the guarantee in the part 3. Now, which of the following is mentioned in the constitutions? See, which of the following is going to be area nut, barley, coffee, yes, flinty millet, and the groundnut, and the sesame and turmeric. So these all are except in the coming the area nut. So if we eliminate of the one, so is going to be a yes, be correct, because area nut is not coming, as we know that under the cabinet committee of economy affairs. Of course, this is not going to announce, especially the cabinet especially cabinet committee on economy affairs is not going to announce the minimum support price for area nut. Remember that, except area nut, this all are is going to be, as we know that announce the minimum support price, that can MSP, that can be in that briefly. In which of the following the state is Pakhui wildlife sphere? Pakhui wildlife sanctuary. So Pakhui wildlife sanctuary is known as this, as we know. With reference to the India has been satellite launched the vehicle to consider the following. This is the coming. This question the coming from, of course, experience and text on that satellite launch vehicle. Satellite. So PSLV, GSLV. Of course, you have to do the study, and MK3. This one also, and the PSLV. This all do a study because always frequently question. Yes, frequently question, as we know that notaries are being asked by UPSC. So here the PSLV launch the satellite is useful for GSLV, PSLV and GSLV. Just difference is here. PSLV launch for satellite useful for Earth sources. So there is no doubt, as we know that and a heavy satellite that is by the GSLV. So the monitoring, whereas GSLV are designed mainly due to launch communication satellite, and the communication satellite is heavy, so it's going to the facts in here. Now, satellite launched by the PSLV appear to remain permanently fixed in the first same position in the sky and the view from the particular location. No, this is not a fact. And PSLV MK3 is 4 stages which especially here see GSLV MK3 is the 4 stage launch vehicle with especially first and third is using a solid and motor. The second and the fourth is using especially here see here is a first and the third is using solid motor, and especially the second and fourth is using liquid rocket engine. So this is also not the facts in here, my dear, of the GSLV MK3. So here only one is going to the mentioned with reference to the governor of the public sector banking in India. The concern of following that the capital infusion into the public sector by see the capital infusion into public sector bank by government of India, and has a steadily increased in the last decade. So this is a fact, of course, because as we know that the capital infusion in the public sector banking by the government of India has been steadily increased, of course, the last 1 to 2 decades. Now, to put the public sector banks in order, the merger of the associated bank with the parent state bank of India has affected. So this is also correct, my dear. So she will be correct. Now 97 number, cereal grains, hulled, chicken egg cooked, and fish processed and canned, and newspaper containing advertising material which in the following are exempt under the GST, goods and service. So which one is going to? One is going to be yes, the cereal, grains, and hulled in the GST. So as we that, and there is no GST has been addressed on especially the cereal, grains, and hulled. So it's in the exempt. So only after eliminating of the one, so sorry, as mean that this one is especially one the Sri Lankians, and especially all these all are not examining. This is the coming in the exemption of the GST, so one will be a correct answer here, according to requirement of questions answer. Now the consider the following. Definition of the critical wildlife habitat is incorporated in the Forest Act in 2006. So this is fact, and for the first time in India, of course, big as having the habitat right. So this is also fact. But the Union Ministry of the Environment and Forest and Climate, the chance officially decide and they declare habitat right for primitive, primitive and vulnerable the travel group is and the part of India. No, this is not fact. So 1 and 2 will be a correct answer. 99 number. See the consider the following. So the birds and dust blowing. The birds, dust and blowing, rains and wind blowing. According to above the species, the plant is which can be. So plant is the all are is going to be. Birds is also plant is dust blowing is also plant which can above the plant is show here, and the wind blowing is also plant is rain is also plant is of course. Here the question, which in the following above the plant is, but see plants and trees here especially it's a etiological factor, of course, like answer my dears, these all are. So dust blowing, as we know that will also cause the plant diseases. Birds, and this will also cause the of course the plant diseases, and especially rain, more rain, as we know that will also cause the plant diseases, and wind blowing, that will also cause the plant diseases, there is no doubt. So 1, 2, 3, those all last question of especially 2018 the prelims examination of paper 1. See, with reference to the organic farming in India, of course, when we're talking about the 100% organic farming, always, of course, in a huge contribution of the Sikkim state, especially. It is only one in India. It is only one, especially Sikkim state in the India, of course, there is a organic, 100% organic farming. Now, see. So National Program for the Organic Production especially NPOP is operated under the guideline and direction of the Union Ministry of the Rural Development. No, this is not the facts, and the Agriculture and the Process and Product Export Development Authority APEDA. What is going to be a stand? So as we know, the A is a stand for agriculture, P is stand for processed, and P stand for product, and E for of course export, and D for development, and A for once again especially C APEDA. Agriculture Process and Product Export Development Authority function as Secretariat the implementation of NPOP. Of course, it is absolutely correct, and Sikkim has become the first fully organic state. This is also a fact. Show them, my dear. This is yes. 2 and the 3 will be the correct answer. So 2 and 3 is going to be the correct. 1 is going to be the wrong here. So because why 1 will be the wrong here? Because here National Program for Organic Production NPOP is not operated under the guideline of the direction of the Ministry of the Rural Development, of course. So this is all about in this video tutorial of especially, and of course as we know that actually now I have read all the questions in the prelims examination of 2018. If this video has been benefited to you, of course, if this video has been benefited to you in any way, do remember that any objective questions which has been asked in 2014, then please just like and subscribe to my channels for further notification and update, and that will inspire to be that will inspire to be hard work, especially that will inspire to me to make more and more video such as especially, so that will assist to revise all the previous year question in fastly, my dear. So thank you guys, have a great time, thank you very much.